Disappearing Daughters was a book which was commissioned by Penguin in 2006. As a journalist, I've been investigating the issue of female feticide and infanticide for a long time. So they wanted me to put this together into a book. So it is called Disappearing Daughters, The Tragedy of Female Feticide. Now, feticide is a process by which women go through a sex-selective abortion. Whether they are forced to do it or whether they do it voluntarily or how they do it is not really the issue here. The fact is that because of sex-selective abortion, our gender ratios have gone totally skewed. So today, all over the country, we have far less number of girls than we have boys. So in 2005 and 6, I traveled through India looking at places where the gender ratios were particularly bad. My original work had been done in the villages of Tamil Nadu, in Madurai and Salem, where I was looking at infanticide, which is a different crime, where infant girl children are killed after they are born, just because they are girls. If I thought that was horrific, I felt that this other sex-selective abortion is much worse, because although it's an unseen crime, it is done very clinically and carefully. It's much wider spread. So when I went to Punjab, Haryana and Gujarat, I found that because of this, the ratios had gone so low that there were many other repercussions. For one, just to give you an example, in Punjab and Haryana, there's a huge population of young men who were unable to find brides because the girls had all been finished off before they were born. So there was a scarcity for women. This doesn't mean that women were valued more. In fact, they became valued less, because what these young men had to do was they had to go and buy brides from somewhere else. So they went to, say, the tribal areas of Bastar or remote corners where there were poorer people who didn't even have access to family planning, and therefore they had any number of girls. They used to buy the girls, bring them here. And in many families I found, I mean at least in a couple of families, and I hear it was far more widespread, that several brothers in the family shared the same girl. So it almost was like sex slavery, and the women were treated like slaves in their own houses. It was not that they were given a better status. They were always kept out of the family matters. They were also forced to go through sex-selective abortion. I went to Gujarat. There was a similar story over there. The story which emerged as I was going across all the places is that unlike female infanticide, which was practiced by the poorest of the poor because they just didn't know how to cope with the problem of varadakshina, dowry, and getting their daughters married and other things like that, which are in themselves illegal acts. Among the rich and the middle class, it was a similar issue. And the rich and the educated were also able to have access to better technology. Therefore, the crime became more silent. So while today infanticide is non-existent across India, feticide has spread. So if the situation was bad in 2002, it has become much worse today. And it's not the rural, uneducated pockets that it is there. Places like Bangalore, the sex ratios have gone down. And how do we know the sex ratios have gone down in a drastic way? We have to look at the 0 to 6 age group. Because sex ratios in the the adult age group have actually improved. But in the 0 to 6 age group, they have decreased. One of the main causes behind this, I would also say, is family planning. Because we have planned families, you plan to have only sons and no daughters. In unplanned families, there could be 9 daughters in one family or 9 sons in another family. It didn't matter. But today we have only 1 or 2 children, and the optimum choice would be to have 1 or 2 boys. So in a family, the first daughter is safe because she is a daughter, and anyway people don't mind having 1 daughter. The second child is not safe. If it's third, you can almost be definitely sure that it will be aborted. So that is a situation. My book actually was released by President Kalam, who was the president at that time in 2007 in Rashtrapati Bhavan, and it became an instant hit for all the sad reasons that everybody was interested to know that India had a bad sex ratio. So while some people were unhappy that I had projected this, other people said we have to face the reality. I mean, this is the truth. Since then, we've had many campaigns, many girl-child campaigns. In fact, the book even recently won an award, the Ladli Media Award for the best book of non-fiction in Bombay. And we've tried so many things, but sadly, we have not been able to hit the core of the problem, which is that girls are unwanted still in India. Among other things, girls are unwanted because of dowry, where people have given me many reasons which they think are perfectly valid. They say the place is unsafe, my daughter may be raped, she may be burnt to death by her in-laws, she may be beaten up. But I always say, is it better to, so do you think killing her is the only option? I mean, to that. Is it that she has to undergo more harm, which is final, which is death, rather than, your own inability to protect her or encourage her to go out and do things? Another thing, of course, one of the important reasons is economic, because girls are considered to be economic drains because of dowry. They feel that even if they earn money, even if I educate my daughter and she becomes begins to earn money, that money will go to some other family. That is another argument. So actually this resulted in my writing one more book on professional women, where I try to argue that there are many women who are supporting their entire families. There are men may not even be working. And this is across the spectrum. If you go to a village, you will find that there are many women who work and their earnings go into supporting the family. The men's earnings may go into drinking. So girls are very, very important to the family, and without girls, you're not even going to have a country. But none of these arguments seem to really work, and we are reaching a very terrible state. China has already crossed that mark, and kidnapping, rape, murders. So if you look at the places where the sex ratios are really bad, like Haryana, the people have traced how many rapes go on in Haryana, how many kidnapping, how many women are murdered, because there's a whole generations of men who are coming up who have no access to women. And it's like, you have stabbed yourself. See, in the Northeast, as you correctly said, the female feticide was less at one point of time. In Kerala, where there's not a matriarchal system as such, but matrilineal. In other words, the wealth passed from mother to daughter. So over there also the sex ratios have always been very good. In fact, Amartya Sen in his all his findings said we should take an example from Kerala, where the sex ratios have been good. Even in some places like Mangalore and Udupi and all, the sex ratios have been good. But sadly what is happening is that old system is going now, and everybody, all the societies are tending to go towards the patriarchal system, where the money is in the hands of the men, and where dowries did not exist, now they have come to exist. So if you look at the 0 to 6 sex ratios in many of these places, it is not drastically bad, but it's slowly getting there. Another thing is technology, which is supposed to improve the health of the people, has also contributed towards easier elimination of girls. So that is another reason why in many of the places it's also happening. So unless that feeling that we do not want girls disappears from our society, things are not going to change.